Yeah, guys, what's up? Yeah, so I am Sunam. This is a Christian Perspective with Sunam, and it's a new YouTube channel I'm starting. Yeah, so basically, we are going to be discussing about um, world issues, Nigerian issues. I'm hopefully going to be chipping in Christian perspectives to movies, what is happening, politics, and the rest. Yeah, so with that, let's get that out of the way. But by way of introduction and just as a disclaimer, this is my first time. So this is basically a test run. Yeah, so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, you know, the cliche. So today I'm going to address a little issue concerning the Trinity and Reno Omokri. Now, Reno Omokri is our favorite on non-Christian or Christian apologist, and he has some strong views concerning the Bible. Now, Reno Omokri is very educated. He has a master's degree in law from the University of Wolverhampton, and he was the special advisor to former President Goodluck Jonathan. So yeah, he's highly educated, but he has a wrong view of the Trinity and the Council of Nicaea because believes that the Council of Nicaea was where the Trinity was created. Now, the Trinity is not a concept that is created by Christians. It is not like they went and a bunch of old bishops sat down and said, okay, let us make a special kind of God for ourselves. And we say he's three persons, but one person, one being. No, it is a concept that Christians have always held to in Christian tradition. So, Christian interpreters of the Bible, for example, they see when God said, let us create man in our image in Genesis chapter 1 to mean God God the Father now talking to the Son and the Holy Spirit. Let us create man. It is not just the divine plural, it is God the Father talking to the other persons of the Trinity. Now, one of the problems with the Trinity is, and that is one of the problems with Christians and people generally, is we try to conceive God like God was a human being. So, as Richard Dawkins would describe, God is one old man with white beards somewhere in space. No, that is not God. God is beyond that. When the Bible uses human terms to describe God, or we call it anthropomorphism, sometimes God is described as a man of war. It is not saying that God is a man. So God is described sometimes as a wind, like for example, ruach. Spirit and wind mean the same thing. So it talks about the spirit of God hovering the face of the deep. It describes God as a wind. So we cannot really conceive God because we are in space and God is out of space. God is way beyond our imagination. So even the human terms we use, like persons, it does not really capture the nature of God because we cannot understand it. So as we include them, we will say we cannot fully understand God. We can only know God truly. So with that being the way, out of the way, we talk about persons, we talk about being. We should not conceive those terms in just in specifically human terms. I know that our human imagination is limited, so we have to have these conceptions. But I'm just saying we should not limit ourselves to these possibilities. Like God is way larger than we understand. So now, when we talk about persons, we are talking about functionality of the persons of the Godhead. God the Father has functions, God the Son has functions, God the Holy Spirit has functions, and we see these functions that they play in our history of salvation. But when we talk about essence, I am a human being, you are a human being. We have the same essence, and I expect you to treat me as a human being, my rights as a human being. So we talk about human rights because we are essentially, whether I'm a criminal, you are expected to treat me as a human being first. I said that in Nigeria, we know everybody is guilty until proven innocent. Opposite to everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But I expect you to treat me as a human being. So, in the same way, when we talk about the essence, the godness of God, He is one, but in functionality, God the Father has functions, God the Holy Spirit has functions, and God the Son has functions. They are co equal. Now, the Council of Nicaea was birthed as a result of a rift that was had between Orthodox Christianity and a bishop named Arius. Now Arius thought that he thought that there was a time when God the Son was not. So it means that God the Son, there was a time when he did not exist. So he cannot be co-eternal with God the Father. So the Council of Nicaea was gathered in order to debunk this heresy. So Athanasius and other bishops, they came and they debated about the nature of God the Son. Was he co-eternal with God the Father, or was he not co-eternal with God the Father? And Athanasius and the other bishops, they got the day, they won the argument, and because of that, that was um but in fact it did not mean that the Arian controversy died down, because later in church history we'll see that Arius with Constantinus, Arius gained strong following, and in fact Arianism became what might have been Orthodox Christianity, but because the Trinitarian position is the true position of Christians, it prevailed. And why would I say it's the true position of Christians? Now, when we go back historically, the early church already had a very developed conception of the Trinity. Like we see it in the New Testament, we see Paul describing Jesus Christ as God. We see the four Gospels where Jesus alludes to himself as God, and the Jews clearly understood this, that Jesus Christ is referring to himself as God. For example, when he said in John 8:58, before Abraham was, I am, they picked up stones to stone him because they understood that he was trying to refer to himself as God. So we see this. So we know that they had a clear understanding of Jesus referring to himself as God. Now, when you go to church history, you see Justin Martyr's dialogue with the Jew Trifle in AD 160, where Justin Martyr defends the triune concept of God, where the Jew is accusing them of polytheism. They are saying, no, this is what we believe as God. Why we believe the triune nature of God, we still believe that God is one. But simply because there wasn't conception of the term doesn't mean that the concept itself did not exist. For example, would we say that prior to Bongo Park there was no River Niger? There had always been River Niger, but the Europeans had not discovered it yet. Would we say that before Christopher Columbus there was no America? There was America, but the Europeans hadn't discovered it yet. So it is the same with the Trinity. When you read church history, prior to the Council of Nicaea, you see it replete. It wasn't even an issue. Like it was de facto. It was the axiom that God is three in one, until Arius contested this. So the Trinitarian concept, it was de facto. That's why you see that every traditional Christian denomination agrees, whether it is Roman Catholic, whether it is the Eastern Orthodox Church, whether it is Protestant, we agree that the Trinity is the norm. Yeah, so I think that answers Reno's question. Now, like I said again, disclaimer, I'm just learning. So if you have any encouragement, any advice, any way you want to help, you can contact me. But make sure, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Encourage me. Let's get this video over to 100 likes. Okay. No, not 100 likes. I'm a pessimist. So let's get this video to 50 likes, and then I'll do the next one. God bless. This is again, once again, Christian Perspective. It's Sunam, and I promise to get better on the next one.